Alright, it's time to talk about binomial taxonomy. And who was the inventor of binomial taxonomy? Carl Linnaeus. Did you get that right? So that's definitely something you'll know by the end of this class. Alright, so binomial taxonomy. What that means is every living thing is categorized by a very specific species name. An actual is two names. That's why we call it binomial. It's a genus and a species epithet, or a genus plus a descriptor. And the genus plus the descriptor equals a species name. Now, and they're Latin names, and the pronunciation can be kind of challenging, so don't laugh at my pronunciation and I won't laugh at yours. But at any rate, why is it important to actually have a Latin binomial taxonomy classification? Couple reasons. Common names are super, but what your grandmother called something, somebody else's grandmother called it something else. So what your grandmother taught you, hey, you can go eat the purple berries, somebody else's grandmother was telling them purple berries are poisonous. And if y'all get together and say, hey, let's eat these purple berries, and the other person says you're crazy, y'all don't even know you're talking about two different purple berries. So common names can lead to miscommunication. So that's why you really, if you use that Latin binomial taxonomy, you know you're actually talking about the exact same plant. And that's really important also for scientists from different countries, okay? So if you have a language barrier, you still know you're sharing information about the exact same plant, and that you don't have a language barrier with common names when you're sharing information using the Latin name. So that's why we use binomial taxonomy and why it's so important. So let's get down to it. You were probably wondering last video why I had kids prefer creamy Oreo frosting. Good stuff. Why I had that written on the board. Well, go ahead and write this down if you want to, this little mnemonic. It's kind of cute, and I thought it related to something that a chef would like, something that tastes good. So anyway, this is going to help us remember how to get down to the genus and the species epithet, how to get down to the genus and the species descriptor. All right. First thing, our circle here, our big circle here, is our kingdom. So we are talking about the kingdom of plant. How do we know that something fits into the kingdom of plant? There's two main ways we know that. One is it performs photosynthesis, which means it creates its own food, which we'll talk about later. It creates its own food from light. And so photosynthesis is number one. And number two is it's sessile, which means that it is rooted. It cannot move under its own power, okay? Remember, nature will find a way. There are plants that get food from other ways other than photosynthesis, and there's actually now they're discovering a plant that can swim, believe it or not. So it's still under plant, but maybe that'll change. Sometimes science changes. So anyway, those are our two main ways we know that something belongs in the kingdom of plant. So we're getting down to our inner circle here, phylum. And I hope y'all can read this. I'm going to try to write big, phylum, okay? There's 4 phylums of plants. Get ready to learn this. Mosses, ferns, angiosperms, and gymnosperms. So the main ones we're going to talk about are angiosperms and gymnosperms. Those are going to be our main ones we're concerned about. Not so much ferns and mosses, but you need to know ferns, mosses, angiosperms, and gymnosperms, okay? So, what is a phylum? A phylum is pretty much dictated by, say, the reproductive structures of the plant. So, mosses, let's just don't even talk about mosses, okay? But ferns, how do ferns reproduce? Ferns are a plant that reproduces using spores. That's really odd for a plant, but there you go. Nature will find a way. So angiosperms are flowering plants. Plants that use flowers for their reproductive structure. That's going to be the vast majority of our food plants. So we're really mostly concerned with angiosperms. Gymnosperms are plants that reproduce using cones. Okay? So remember I said nature will find a way and there's always some weird thing out there. What about magnolia tree? Magnolia tree has flowers, and they also have cones. Odd. A magnolia tree is actually, a little trivia here, classified as a angiosperm. But that's just a little piece of trivia for you. So angiosperms are what? Flowering plants. Gymnosperms reproduce by cones. Remember, ferns reproduce by spores. And then mosses, we're not even going to worry about. But those are 4 phylums. See if you can name those 4 phylums right now. Ready? Did you get them? Mosses, ferns, angiosperms, gymnosperms. Hope so. All right. Then we're going to go down to our next little, we're getting down closer and closer to our target species. Our next one is going to be class. All right, so we're only going to concern ourselves with 2 classes in this class, and those 2 classes are going to be classes of angiosperms. We're only worried about the 2 classes of angiosperms for our purposes, okay? So remember, what are angiosperms? Flowering plants. Okay, the 2 classes are going to be monocots. I'm trying to write big, so I hope y'all can see that. And dicots. Monocot and dicot. All right. So we're going to talk more about monocots and dicots, but very simply, a monocot, when it germinates, which remembers when the baby plant is first out of the seed coat, monocot has 1 little leaflet. Not a true leaf, but it looks like a leaf. So 1 little leaflet. Mono meaning 1. Dicot is going to have 2 little leaflets. All right. So monocot, dicot are your classes of angiosperms. So we're getting on down. Order. Now, I got to erase a little bit, so I'm trying to write big. We're not going to worry about orders of plants, okay? We're just, that's not really going to, we're not going to get that specific. But we are going to talk about orders of insects later, all right? But you need to know order. Next, family. All right, we're getting down to genus. And lastly, the species. And remember, the species is a combination name between a genus and a species epithet or a species descriptor. Now, plants actually go 1 step further, okay? Under your species, you can have a cultivar or a variety. So what's a cultivar or a variety? This is a plant that is within the species, but it has its own little different unique characteristics, okay? So it's not a different species, but maybe the leaves curl a little bit, or maybe it has a little bit different color. So it's a plant within the species that has unique characteristics. A cultivar is cultivated by man. So that's easy to remember. Cultivar is cultivated by man. We try to get those special characteristics. A variety, if it's not man-made, who made it? Nature. So a variety is just found in nature, and a cultivar is cultivated. All right, so that is how we get down to our genus and species name. Hopefully you've downloaded this, but if not, go ahead and download this. This is just, you don't have to memorize all these. This is just a list of some of these species epithets. So what I want you to do is just review this, and I want you to pick maybe 3 that represent you. That if you were discovering a new species that was yourself, you were a whole new species, what would you like to name yourself? Right now we're Homo sapiens. So sapiens would be our descriptor, our species epithet, okay? So find about 3 species epithet that describe you and let me know what they are. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you next video.